Premier League win at Stamford Bridge under Frank Lampard. The Italian puts them 1-0 up. And that trademark step and jump from Jorginho to drive the ball into the bottom corner. Matty Ryan was rooted to his spot. And Chelsea lead just 5 minutes after the restart. Jorginho with the goal. And Barkley winning back possession. Chelsea on the prowl once more. Here's Pedro straight to Ryan after Dan Burn slipped. They could have made it 2-0 in quick succession. And Brighton are all at sea at the back. That goal has rocked the Seagulls. But Moy now with a through ball. Here's a chance to strike right back with Moy. Mopé cutting infield, dispossessed, but wins the ball back on the edge of the box. Now Dale Stephens, Brighton, looking for an instant reply. Gaetang Bong. Aaron Moy to his left, holds onto the ball, turns his man, does Bong. Gives it back to Moy. Sends him across the far post, but no one could break free. And that does go behind for a goal kick. What a frantic few minutes that is. Brighton giving away a very cheap penalty to go behind, and then Pedro sent through on goal by Ross Barkley's lovely through pass, but straight at Matty Ryan. But Chelsea leading by a goal to 0. Here's Steven Alzate getting the ball to Dale Stephens, who forces it wide to Gaetang Bong. Delivers the cross, cleared away though out of the penalty area by the Chelsea defence, and Dan Burn will be forced to give it all the way back towards the Brighton goal and Matty Ryan. Remember, Brighton have never scored against Chelsea in the Premier League. In all 4 meetings in the league, 8 in all competitions, but still no goals against the Blues. Chelsea ahead through Jorginho's penalty after Mason Mount was brought down by Adam Webster. Chelsea have won 21 of their last 26 Premier League games when scoring first, dating back to August 2018, drawing 4 and losing 1. That loss coming at Wolves last December when they lost 2-1. Here's Ross Barkley looking to extend Chelsea's lead. Lovely bit of footwork to shimmy his way through the Brighton midfield. Gets brought down on the edge of the box by the challenge of Moy, but the referee says the Australian got enough of the ball with the tackle, and we play on. 54 minutes gone. Chelsea 1, Brighton Hove Albion 0. Listen in the USA on Sirius Channel 216, XM 2110 and Internet 966. Also on the One Sport app in mainland Europe. JB Omar tweeting into @TalkSport Live says Chelsea will score today. They certainly have done. It's backing Tammy Abraham to double their advantage. Chelsea patient with their play now. Here's the goal scorer, Jorginho. All over the top of the pass. He's got in between Bong and Ryan, but Ryan was quick to recover and win back possession. Long ball over the top, which split open the Brighton defence. Now the Seagulls have possession and trying to go forward. Chelsea leading by a goal to nil thanks to Jorginho's penalty. Stevens with possession for Brighton midway inside the Chelsea half, trying to find a recovery. Ball just comes over the head of Pascal Gross. Drop back here though for Gomes. Now to Aaron Moy, 25 yards out. High angle ball to the right side of the penalty area. Brighton want a corner, they won't get one. Last touch coming off of Adam Webster, the man who conceded that all-important Chelsea penalty after the foul on Mason Mount. Chelsea fans can start to bask in this 1-0 lead at Stamford Bridge. Brighton have only won 1 in 44 Premier League games after conceding first, drawing just 9 and losing 34. That was a 2-1 win back in December last year against Huddersfield. They've lost 13 out of 14 attempts against the Premier League's so-called top 6. Brighton are yet to have a single attempt on goal. Brighton have had 27 of which have been on target. The one that matters though was that penalty from Jorginho, and that is what separates the two sides at 1-0. Here's Willian, through ball for Tammy Abraham. Ball slightly behind him and picks it up. Now sends in the cross, it's over the head of Alzati, collected by Alonso. Alonso drives on inside the box. Was he being held by Alzati? Referee says no, it was a die. Tells Alonso to get up and Brighton can try and break forward. Alonso was looking for it really, but Alzati was putting his arms all over the Spaniard. I've seen them given. Referee Andre Mariner giving that in Brighton's favour this time. Scores in the league: Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0, Bournemouth 2, West Ham 1, Crystal Palace 1, Norwich 0, Tottenham 2, Southampton 1, but Tottenham down to 10 men, and Wolves 1-0 up at home to Watford. Here at Stamford Bridge, it's Chelsea 1, Brighton 0. Jorginho with the goal from the penalty spot. Long ball forward, which Moy heads down. Out of play for a throw-in for Chelsea. Frank Lampard telling his Chelsea players to try and get the second goal, be a bit more direct. He doesn't want them to just sit on this 1-goal lead. He wants to perhaps kill Brighton off. Chelsea so far this season have failed to keep a single clean sheet in their opening 7 top-flight games. That was dating back all the way to 1991. They're on the verge, certainly with half an hour to go, getting their first home win in the Premier League under Frank Lampard and keeping a clean sheet for the first time this season. Tomori back to Kepa. He's conceded more Premier League goals this season. He's made saves, conceded 13 goals already. So he made 10 saves and he hasn't been troubled at all by Brighton so far this afternoon. Graham Potter's side yet to produce anything in the final third. Appeal for handball against Pascal Gross. Referee says play on. Dan Burn spins and recovers possession for Brighton, gives it back to Lewis Dunk. He can just give it off to Matty Ryan. He can pass it forward along the ground to Alzati, under pressure from Mason Mount as he tries to run towards the halfway line. Passes the ball back to Alan Webster, now to Dale Stevens, looks up, fizzes this ball into the middle, finds a lot of space in for Pascal Gross to drive forward. Mopé is trying to stay onside. Gross though forces the ball wide for Gomes. Crosses the ball in, looking for the header of Mopé, and there was Tomori to head it over the top and behind for a corner. First real inroads that Brighton have made in the final third. Crossed that ball in. It came off the head of maybe Pascal Gross, in fact. If we look on the replays, and Tomori didn't get anywhere near it. So Brighton, well, the corner was overturned. It was the correct decision. It is a goal kick. The cheering, or should I say, the jeering that you were hearing was from the Brighton fans who saw what they thought was going to be their first corner overturned and given correctly as a goal kick. Now Chelsea going forward. Ross Barkley spinning 30 yards out and away from goal to face the Brighton box. Gave the ball away. Tammy Abraham, that could be in here with a back pass. Hit the ball straight at Matty Ryan. It deflected back off of his arm and then into Matty Ryan's grasp. What is going on with Brighton and their back five? Can't defend for toffee. Dale Stevens, ball forward, along the ground for Gaëtan Bong, cuts inside and away from the challenge of Azpilicueta. There's a real tempo and pace to this game now, as Brighton tried to drive forward. Long ball over the top though by Dale Stevens, is a bit of a waste. Safely back with Kepa. Azpilicueta now out on the left flank. Ball off to Alonso. Chelsea leading by a goal to nil through Jorginho's penalty. Dan Burn turns away from William. And then to Alzate across the halfway line. The youngster running at pace away from a couple of Brighton. A couple of Chelsea challenges and carry on forward here for Brighton. Gave it to Moy, 30 yards out in the centre, encouraged to shoot, tries to play it through Morgan Webster, overhit the ball though, and it goes behind for a goal kick. And I think Moy is saying he was caught afterwards and wants a free kick, but he won't get one. Abraham having one real chance in the second half with a back pass almost set him through. Chelsea are going to make their first change just 3 minutes after the hour mark, and Pedro coming off, and as you can probably hear from the pitch announcer, Callum Hudson-Odoi coming on for the last half an hour or so. Hudson-Odoi did sign a new contract in midweek. So Brighton to bring on Aaron Connolly. Hudson-Odoi, of course, returned from his Achilles injury in the 7-1 win against Grimsby on Wednesday. He scored in that EFL Cup game. Brighton are getting ready some of their own with Aaron Connolly. He's about to come on. As it stands, it's Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Jorginho's penalty. Conversion from the Italian as well, that trademark Jorginho's step and leap as he just hits the ball to drive it into the bottom corner. Matty Ryan didn't even dive after it. He was rooted to the spot. And now with the ball out of play, Chelsea throw. Brighton will make their change, and Aaron Moy, man on loan from Huddersfield, is the man who will make way for the young Aaron Connolly. He's impressed as the Irishman, breaking in from the youth side into Brighton's first team. Came on in the second half against Newcastle last weekend and had a shot cleared off the line, which almost gave Brighton the lead. That game finished 0-0 in the end. He's come on now, tasked with a similar job to get Brighton their first ever goal at Stamford Bridge. Dale Stevens, ball forward, was intercepted, it's played into the partner of Mope, and Connolly could be away here, up against Christensen with a Dane very well to come across and recover and boot that ball. It's Liverpool in the driving seat here though, looking for a second, ball scooped into the box, looking for the run of either Abraham or Willian. The ball won't find either of them, instead we'll find the safety of Matty Ryan's gloves. Brighton want to build. Still passing out from the back, Brighton, despite the fact they're down by a goal to nil. Not going too direct just yet. Now they will. Long ball forward looking for Conley. A headed clearance by Azpilicueta hits the Irishman, and this is fortunate for Brighton. It's kept the move alive. On the edge of the box with Gaëtan charging down the left channel, shoulder to shoulder with Azpilicueta. His cross is blocked by Azpilicueta. But winning it back with Barkley was Bong, and then Barkley recovers with a good challenge. Sticks his boot in, wins back the ball. Tammy Abraham then goes down under the shove from behind from Lewis Dunn and wins a free kick just inside his own half. And Chelsea are going to make their second change of the afternoon, and Ross Barkley, who's been pulling the strings in the midfield, is going to be replaced by Mateo Kovacic. Kovacic will just come in and shore up that midfield for the next 23 minutes or so. That was one of the criticisms last season, of course, under Maurizio Sarri, that the only sub he ever made was Kovacic on and Barkley off. And the exact same change that has been made by Frank Lampard. Here's Dan Burn collecting the ball for Brighton under real pressure by Chelsea in this second half. But they are only down by a goal to nil. That's the glimmer of hope the Seagulls fans have here at Stamford Bridge. 69 minutes on the clock. Down by just that single goal. Here's Alzate. Spotted pass forward was intercepted. And Kovacic will come forward, giving it off to Mason Mount. Now wide here to Hudson-Odoi, who can run at pace for the Brighton defence. Plays a 1-2 with Abraham. Worked out wide for William, but just overstretched and overhit. And the Brazilian slid all across the turf to try and keep the ball in play, which he couldn't do. It goes behind for a goal kick. It was good play by Chelsea to stretch the Brighton defence, but in the end they ended up stretching Willian too much. He couldn't keep that last ball in play. Here's Dan Burn. More of a left-back position. Brighton still playing, it must be said, with three at the back. The wing-backs, Montoya on the right and Gaëtan Bong, really are getting pushed further far forward. And here is Bong on that left flank, delivers the cross. It's cleared away by a diving header from Christiansen. Steve change, because Glenn Murray is warming up on the touchline. Featured so far this season, Murray. Looks like he'll probably get 20 or so minutes here. Premier League appearances, Ben Murray has 1 goal in 7 meetings with Chelsea. Scored that goal in a 1-0 win with Jubilee from Bournemouth back in December 2015. He should be coming on for Brighton shortly. Here's Martin Montoya, the Spaniard, doing the ball alongside to Adam Webster. Webster looks up, springs the ball over to the left flank, finding Bong and acres of space to chest the ball down. Dan Burn on the overlap, ignores him, gives it to Alzate, gets away from the challenge. Still Alzate has an effort, took a big deflection off the arm of Andreas Christensen, and it goes just wide of the far post and behind for a corner. Best chance really for Brighton. Now, is that handball? We have VAR, of course. I mean, Christensen was a yard away, but his arm was out. I don't think it'll be looked at by VAR, it'll just be a corner. And Brighton will send forward their powerful, tall centre-backs. Webster, Burn and Dunk. It's sent in, looking for a header. Oh, it's hit the top of the bar. I think it was Burn that got the touch at the far post, heading the ball down into the ground. Chelsea goal by kissing the top of the crossbar. How unfortunate for Brighton. A yard further forward, that would have bounced in off the underside of the bar. Instead, it bounces off the top and over. It's always going to be nervy for Chelsea all the time. It's just a single goal that separates the two teams. 17 minutes left. Mopay with a pass forward deflected but safely into the arms of Kepa. He'll roll the ball out to Marcus Alonso to launch it long for Callum Hudson-Odoi. Push on the back of Dale Stephens by Mason Mount. They try to get to the second ball. And a free kick for Brighton. Another chance to pack the box. The aerial route seems to be the recipe for success for Graham Potter in how Brighton are going to try and attack Chelsea in search of an equaliser. Stamford Bridge is nervous. The ball's played short to Alzate. Now to Stephens, through ball looking for Martin Montoya, heavy touch from Hudson-Odoi. Tammy Abraham took no chances and just thumped it away. And Dale Stephens has been tackled by Willian. What a mistake, but a really good recovery by Alzate to give the ball back off to Matty Ryan in quick time, who can then clear it forward to Dan Burn, who's tackled then by retreating Mateo Kovacic. And Chelsea have possession again. Brighton though win it back on the halfway line with Gaëtan Bong. Frantic finish to this game. 15 minutes to go. Chelsea 1, Brighton Hove Albion 0. You're just joining us. Lots of Chelsea chances. The one that mattered was when Mason Mount was taken down by Adam Webster after a poor heavy touch inside the Brighton box. The Chelsea player nipped ahead of him, got brought down, and Jorginho converting the penalty. To this left flank now for Gaëtan Bong. Renato Phillips has tweeted into @TalkSport Live saying Lampard should take off Barkley and Brian Kovacic. Our defence is too exposed. Listening in Lagos, Nigeria, that is the change that Frank Lampard has made. Also took off Pedro and brought on Hudson-Odoi. Here's Willian on the edge of the box now. Willian with a couple of steppers, drives down the right, took a deflection off of Dan Burn, and surely that will seal it. It's cruel on Brighton, but it's just what Chelsea and Frank Lampard wanted. 2 goals up at Stamford Bridge, and Lampard is just 15 minutes away from his first Premier League win at home as Chelsea manager. Good through ball in the end by Hudson-Odoi to find Willian. A couple of step overs. Burn turned his back as the Brazilian let fly with the low shot. Took a big deflection which sent Matty Ryan the wrong way. But the Chelsea fans will not mind one bit. Makes it 2-0 and surely now puts the game to bed and beyond Brighton's reach. And a fist pump from Frank Lampard. How much that will mean to him, picking up his first Premier League win at Stamford Bridge. Minutes or so to go, but surely that goal from Willian has done the damage. Chelsea 2, Brighton 0. To find Gaëtan Bong as Brighton try to be positive and go in search of a goal to get back into this game. Alzate is knocked off the ball by Kovacic. He was knocked off the pitch, but the referee, Andre Mariner, not interested as the Brighton youngster lay flailed on the edge of the touchline. It's Tammy Abraham into Kovacic. Abraham's continuing his run. He could be in here. Tammy Abraham to make it 3! Oh, what a save from Matty Ryan! Abraham was trying to be cocky. He was waiting for Belgian stood his ground. Abraham's effort was straight at him and forced behind for a corner. That would have wrapped it up. That's a really good save, one-handed from Matty Ryan, to claw that attempted chip over him behind for a corner. Corner for Chelsea. Hudson-Odoi will get it after being played short by Willian. Gives it back to the Brazilian. Scored that second goal for Chelsea with the aid of a Dan Burn deflection to take it past Matty Ryan. Willian now drives on, low ball into the box, hooked away by Adam Webster. The ball almost bounces over Jorginho. Webster will try to clear. Alzati under a bit of pressure into Dale Stephens, finding Mopé. Gets closed down very quickly by Azpilicueta. Referee says he was caught late by the Spaniard. And Mopé wins the free kick for Brighton. And now Brighton will make their change, but probably a little too late. Mopé will come off and Glenn Murray will come on. Featured so far this season, hasn't scored in his last 5 Premier League appearances. He is Brighton's second top league scorer in their history with 102 goals, only behind the legendary Tommy Cook, who scored 114. With a heavy touch, allowing Mason Mount to nip in, and Jorginho made no mistake from the spot to make it 1-0. And then Willian's deflected effort cruelly off of Dan Burn, taking the ball past Ryan to beat him at the near post to make it Chelsea 2, Brighton 0. Scores in the Premier League: Aston Villa 1, Burnley 1, West Ham 2. Cresswell with the goal there. Wolves 2, Watford 0. Tottenham still 2-1 up against Southampton. They are down to 10 men. Crystal Palace also a goal to 0 up against Norwich. Here at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea fans waiting patiently, 10 minutes away from celebrating their first home win of the season and their first in the Premier League. Here at Stamford Bridge under Frank Lampard. Through ball here now to release Tammy Abraham. Inside the box, back for Hudson-Odoi, taken off his toes though by a sliding Adam Webster to concede the corner. That was good from Chelsea, breaking forward. Abraham was being played on easily by Dan Burn. He was the only man back. And the vital sliding tackle came in to take it off the toes of Hudson-Odoi, who was bearing down inside the box. High ball into the box, which is dropped down, kept in play well by Hudson-Odoi. Martin Montoya thought it was going to go out for a goal kick and was happy to let it run. And that's allowed Chelsea to keep this attacking move alive and gain precious ground. They're in the final third already. Jorginho trying to play a 1-2 with Mason Mount. Eventually Brighton's midfield wins the ball back. Alzati battling away with Willian. Ball given to Gair Tank-Bong. Tries to thump it down the left channel looking for Connolly. And Alzati has caught Mason Mount late here. It's Jorginho. He stayed down. The referee's just going to give a free kick. It's nothing more for Alzate. And Chelsea are going to make the final change here. Frank Lampard knows he's just a few minutes away from that all-important first home win at Stamford Bridge. And Tammy Abraham, who has failed to get on the score sheet this afternoon and still hasn't found a way past the Brighton defence in all 5 appearances now, is replaced by the Belgian Michy Batshuayi for the last 6 minutes or so here. Chelsea travel away to Lille in the Champions League group stage on Wednesday. Chance of Kovacic to spring forward. Batshuayi dribbling himself wide. He has got the ball inside the box. Batshuayi cuts in onto his left, drags a man away, gets the shot off, but took a big deflection on the ball to all the sting out the ball and safely collected by Matty Ryan. And then Chelsea are away at Southampton next Premier League weekend, which will be on a Sunday, in fact, for them. That little gap in between Champions League games, of course. As for Brighton, their task isn't going to be any easier. They host Tottenham on Saturday next weekend. The Amex, where they've been slightly better, but still their away form will cause concern. Only won 1 of their last 7 Premier League away games either side of the summer break. And the bigger picture, the bigger concern really for Brighton, so only won 1 now of their last 16 league games. A new manager in Graham Potter, a new ethos, a new style trying to be implemented. The results are the same. They've gone to a top 6 side and they will take nothing away on their journey back to Sussex later this evening. 4 minutes to go. Chelsea 2, Brighton 0. Dunk with the ball just in front of the centre circle, pumps it forward, no one can give chase. It's behind for a goal kick. Allows some of the Chelsea fans to start, as you probably hear, singing Frank Lampard's name and soaking in this first home win of the season. They've been made to wait, drawing their first 2 home games and then losing to Liverpool last weekend. Some would be a little bit worried about Chelsea. This afternoon they have done more than enough. 2 goals to 0 up. It's Glenn Murray winning the ball well on the halfway line. From about 40 yards out. I don't know if it was an attempted shot or just an attempt to get the ball in the box from Murray. Either way, it's well wide of Kepa's goal. Behind for a goal kick. Other scores in the Premier League so far: Aston Villa 2, Burnley 2, Bournemouth 2, West Ham 2, Crystal Palace 1, Norwich 0, Tottenham 2, Southampton 1. Tottenham down to 10 men in that one, and Liverpool beating Sheffield United by a goal to 0 in the earlier game. Wolves 2, Watford 0 in that one. Here's Jorginho, first of the 2 Chelsea scorers this afternoon. The Italian converting from the spot after Webster brought down Mason Mount after a very heavy touch inside the box. A really bad error which undid all of Brighton's hard work. midfielder. He's got a free kick. He wanted a little bit more. It was quite a late tackle from Hudson-Odoi as he turned away. It was knee on knee, which is why you heard the scream of anguish from the Brighton midfielder. So Brighton, as you can hear their fans, their travelling support cheering that one. They have won their first corner of the afternoon. Or their second corner, I should say. A chance to try and threaten the Chelsea goal, which they haven't really done too much today. Gross will send it in, ball headed straight up in the air and over by Adam Webster. And to give you an idea how bad that header was, it's landed on the second tier stand inside Stamford Bridge. Quite a bit of distance on that. It's going to be 3 minutes added on time. 3 minutes for the Chelsea fans to revel in the fact that Frank Lampard will deliver their first home win of the season in the Premier League. Hasn't been easy in the second half. It has been comfortable. 2 goals to 0 up. Jorginho and Willian with the strikes. Jorginho from the spots, and Willian with an aid and deflection from Danburn. Season as well for Chelsea. A rarity in the first few games of the season. Taken them 7 games to register a clean sheet. But I'm sure this will give them momentum going forward. Brighton, the attacking style of football, looked pretty in times, but they have nothing to show for it. It will be yet another defeat at Stamford Bridge, and yet another visit to West London where they have failed to score at this famous ground. Long ball forward, cut out by Azpilicueta. It's all about Frank Lampard as the final whistle goes, as he celebrates his first home win in the Premier League at Stamford Bridge. A 2-0 victory which Chelsea were made to wait until the second half.
Up to Yoshida, heads it forward looking for anybody really. Obafemi was the closest to it, and Lloris understandably will make a meal of this and eat up a few more seconds, won't he?
Yeah, it was actually really good defending. If you see when Yoshida went up for the header, he just got knocked off balance, so he couldn't get any power on the header and it just trickled to Lloris. But yeah, ate up a few more seconds in the 4 minutes of added time.
Chelsea 2, Brighton 0 is a result. That's the first of the other games to be called. Still Villa 2, Burnley 2, Bournemouth 2, West Ham 2, Palace 1, Norwich 0, Wolves 2, Watford 0. That Wolves game had a lengthy delay, so that's still got a couple of minutes to run until we even get to time added on. The rest are ticking down in injury time up and down the land after Liverpool won at Sheffield United earlier, and Everton Man City is our 5:30 kickoff. Final sub for Spurs. Off goes Harry Winks and on comes Victor Wanyama, Chris.
Yeah, just really that's to waste a few seconds and for Wanyama to just sit there and clear up anything that comes in, because he can defend there in the middle of the park.
Now a chance for Tottenham to put the game beyond doubt with a couple of extra minutes still to go. Eriksson out as far as Moussa Sissoko, who's had to run himself into the ground and take one for the team. There's a frustrating offside though. Lamela and Sissoko not on the same wavelength, and frustration with each other there. Does this go back to this whole lack of team spirit? I mean, they're winning with 10 men, that's great, but they're effectively shouting at each other there, the two players.
I mean, even though they won the game, you still have that inkling that something's not right within the camp. But then it was just, for me, Lamela was just stood there in an offside position and not getting out of the way. I mean, what's he standing there for?
And Sissoko, as the makeshift right back, is tearing up and down the field, and it's the last thing he needs. Wanyama, of course, another of the players linked heavily with the move away from the club, possibly back to Celtic, where of course he went to via Southampton. We'll wait and see. He's on the field for the final few moments, and Southampton have got one more chance potentially. Remey to Armstrong, to Ward-Prowse, who thought about an early cross. Jinks to his left foot, in-swinging delivery. Hugo Lloris getting there just ahead of Shane Long. Is that, I wonder, their final chance with 40 seconds to go, Southampton?
I think so. I think it was a good ball. It's a bit too close for Lloris. It was inviting for him to come out and catch the ball, but Hasenhüttl will be a bit disappointed that his team, for 60 minutes really, haven't got back into the game. I mean, it was 1-1.
And now Ward-Prowse gives away a free kick on Harry Kane, and that really could be it. Southampton about to be 2 wins in 12 in the Premier League, and just 18 in 83 since the start of the 2017 season. Their really good run of wins away from home, I think, is about to come to an end. And here's one for you. They've lost, if they lose this, 19 times in Premier League history to former Southampton managers in games. Poch would be 7 of those 18, and that is the worst in the league. Talk about your old bosses haunting a side.
Wow, who gets them stats? It's impressive.
I'd say I made it up. I didn't. I took it from one of our excellent stat packs. One thing I should have added before, when they did score, it was their first half goal of the season. They were the last team in the league to score in the first half. Admittedly, Lloris gave it to them on a plate.
I did find that stat.
There you go. Long ball over the top. Final whistle blows, and Tottenham have stopped the bleed. It's a critical win in front of their home support. Ralph Hasenhüttl's frustrated. He waves his arms aloft. He still has time to hug Mauricio Pochettino. And for Mopo, it's another win against his old team. Harry Kane ultimately is the man who gets the decisive goal. So much drama. A sending off. An unbelievable goal for Southampton from Lloris's error, but either side of it all, Ndombele and Harry Kane, the men who get the job done. And Spurs finally can look upwards, rebuild, and they have a precious 3 points in the bank as it finishes Tottenham 2, Southampton 1, and a late goal as well at Selhurst Park. Let's take you there.
Garnered all their points at Carrow Road. Here's Zaha on the left hand side up against Amadou, who does well. It's still Zaha though, might think about a shot. In the end he opts to try and release Neuer, and it's the second goal. It's Andros Townsend, and he seals the win for Crystal Palace. Relief all around Selhurst Park. Trickery there from Wilfried Zaha.
Martin Hopkins calling that another goal for Palace, set for 3 points. Norwich just quickly, it's all gone a little bit quiet of late, all on the back of that City win, hasn't it, funnily enough?
Sometimes you see that. I mean, a fantastic display, a one-off really. Man City not at the kind of very best, and just taken by surprise, but yeah, since then they've just dropped off, and that's kind of what you expect from from promoted teams, really. It's just the consistency.
It's all gone a little bit quiet around much of this lovely new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Quite a few fans have stayed as Harry Kane, having taken his boots off, walks around and laps up the adulation of the fans. I think a lot of people here just drained and exhausted, having taken it all in. It's been a remarkable game. Full time everywhere else now. Villa 2, Burnley 2, Bournemouth 2, West Ham 2, Chelsea 2, Brighton 0, Palace, as we just heard, 2, Norwich 0, Wolves 2, Watford 0, clicks to full time as well. Earlier, Sheffield United 0, Liverpool 1. Everton, Man City, what a key game to come with Tom Rennie and Chris Perry at 5:30 UK. But here, Spurs have beaten Southampton in an epic 2-1. Chris Bircham, fully enjoyed your company, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant to have Chris Bircham back alongside us, formerly of Columbus Crew, LA Galaxy, Port Vale and Brighton. We brought you an absolute snorter in North London, where finally Spurs are back to winning ways. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Hello, Jim White here. Now, if you're wondering about all the background hullabaloo, I'm helping out as lifeguard at the brand new TalkSport swimming pool. Golf! No running there, boy! But never mind that. Join me tomorrow morning from 10, when I'll be up to my neck in the warm, chlorinated waters of the day's biggest sports stories. Come plunge with me, Jim White, straight in at the deep end of the action.
Weekday mornings from 10 on TalkSport. The Sports Bar with Andy Goldstein and Jason Cundy on Talk Sports.
Get a pickled egg, some pork scratchings and a punch up by the pool table in the tasty local battle cruiser, where you get 2 Cockney loudmouths for the price of 1.
The usual, is it, sir? 2 Nelsons and a packet of Jelly Hill flavoured crisps.
Cool, blimey, I love a duck, governor.
Time, gentlemen, please, to listen to the Sports Bar.
Open for business weeknights from 10 on Talk Sports.
I'm Sam Matterface and this is Game Day. TalkSport has your weekend covered as we give you a series of exclusive podcasts bringing you total coverage of the Premier League with a trio of top podcasts. On Thursday, myself and a legendary lineup of pros and pundits will preview the action to all 10 Premier League matches.
They were okay in spells, don't get me wrong, but I think it was a gamble that he didn't really need to take. So to try it out against arguably the best side in Europe, or one of the best sides, was, I think, really risky.
This is a game they have to go and win for me, to show that they bought well in the summer, that is their ambition for this season.
Alea.
On Saturday, it's your verdict with me, Laura Woods, and Adrian Durham, bringing you all the reaction and the very best of the phone-in.
I think Sadio Mane had every right to moan. I am fed up with Salah being greedy. I know he's trying to make Salah score a goal, but my God, come on, mate. Pass the ball.
Salah steps away from David Luiz. Still Mo Salah, 3-0. Brilliant individual goal from Mohamed Salah. And Liverpool are over the hills and far away.
On Monday morning, it's the turn of the record book with me, Danny Kelly. I'll be joined by the very best guests as we look back at all the weekend's action, going down the odd highway, byway tangent as well, all on the way. Did you ever play against Mick Harford?
I tried not to be perfect. I never actually come up against him. I did when he was a centre.
You must have heard the tales about Mick Harford and the things he did to a centre half.
Oh, we did, yeah. But lucky enough, when I was at QPR playing centre half, Big Alan McDonald got involved with him too. And that's the time I said, Alan, you can have him, because it worked out. He is the one person that he would kick you and you would apologise for getting in the way.
Subscribe now to the Game Day podcast on Acast, Spotify or iTunes.
Listening to Premier League Live, I'm your host Russell Hargreaves, and coming up, full coverage of Everton versus Manchester City, plus we'll reflect on all the action from this afternoon's Premier League games so far, including here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, a game full of drama, controversy, end-to-end moments, a great advert for the EPL, and it's won by Spurs, who overcome Southampton 2-1. They stop the bleed, and it is a case of onwards and upwards. Ojo John O'Waston saying Spurs have got to kick on from here. Ikebi, well done for your work and for Spurs this. And just one more, a great win and time to rebuild, says Kwame. And I think Mopo and the boys will do exactly that thing. It could be a critical moment here. They win. Everton certainly need a win as well. Marco Silva, their boss, under huge pressure. And who's in town? The defending champions and a team who stuck 8 on Watford last weekend. Everton, Man City. Tom Rennie's got your team news.
Hold on, Russ. Mopo? Are we saying Mopo for Pochettino now? Is that allowed, is it?
I just do it occasionally because it's
nice.
so many syllables and I've talked so much today. I'm just resting syllables.
Surprised me. I don't know. It was like you were a teenage music fan, like Ariana Grande or something like that. You know, it was nice.
Come on, Toe Ren.
So Reg, more like. Let's get to it. Everton aiming to respond after back-to-back defeats. They host a Man City side who, of course, beat Watford 8-0 last weekend. Andre Gomes still out for Everton with a rib injury. Marco Silva expects him back in training next week. Still no Gbamin in midfield as well. For City, no Laporte, no Sane, no Stones. It's 2 changes for Everton from the side that lost against Sheffield United last week. I won't bother with all the changes from the cup games in midweek. From the league, Bernard and Moise Keane drop out. Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Theo Walcott come into the starting 11. Walcott weirdly found himself at right back for some of last week. He is back on the right wing, we understand, for this game. For Manchester City, 4 changes from the side that gave Watford that almighty hammering last week. Mendy, the 2 Silvers and Aguero drop out. Jesus, Sterling, Gundogan and Zinchenko come in.
Just in terms of the game then, as we mentioned briefly, Silva, the Everton boss, is under a lot of pressure, isn't he? It's a home game, and of all the teams to try and play, how do you treat City? Is it almost a free hit that could ease the pressure, or is it the worst team to play because it means you're more likely to have another defeat?
Do you know, I'm not too sure that Everton have been as bad as all that, really. Certainly their result against Sheffield United wasn't good, the performance against Aston Villa and the result wasn't great, but on the whole it hasn't been as bad as all that. In fact, they're 1 point better off than they were at this stage last season, and so I think Marco Silva being number 1 in the hit list to get sacked is greatly exaggerated. I think that he's trying to build something there. He's still short of a top-class striker. It's not his fault they couldn't get Zaha. It's not his fault they could only sign Moise Keane as a centre-forward. I think he asked for better and he's got what he's got. So I'm not too sure whatever happens today it will have that much of an effect on his future. You ain't going to beat Manchester City without putting on an astonishing performance. I think that Everton are capable of that, so I wouldn't discount them entirely. But you asked me how you stop Manchester City, and I would say dumb luck is the answer to that. They need City to have a bad day, and they need to themselves have an astonishing day. And they're capable, as they showed us back in 2017 when they beat them 4-0 in what was the lowest point of Guardiola's time in charge of City.
And just really quickly, with no Stones again, as you said, and no Laporte, we are in this ultimately makeshift back 4, aren't we? So that is possibly something, as Norwich showed.
Yeah, it's still a very poor central defensive pairing. Fernandinho is not a central defender. He is a man with ageing legs, and if there is a team to test him at the back, I think he will be found wanting. And we know Nicolas Otamendi is capable of some astonishing ricks at the back. I often like to think of him as the softest hard man in football. He can't mark a man. His tackling is often a bit rash. Someone has got to take advantage of it. Maybe it'll be Gylfi Sigurdsson and Dominic Calvert-Lewin today. Somebody will. Why not the Toffees?
Thank you very much indeed to Tom Rennie, who alongside Chris Perry will be a commentary team. We kick off in 25 minutes just over. Everton against Manchester City at Goodison Park. Here, 10-man Spurs 2, Southampton 1 with your feature game. All the highlights of that and the rest of a brilliant day of 3pm kickoffs right here on Premier League Live.
There's Cantwell. Gives it away though. Here's Wilfried Zaha attacking that final third into the penalty. Right hand side. Zaha shoots! And it's off the crossbar.
Goes back to Yarmolenko. Spins 1-0. What a fine goal. Allah to Yarmolenko. Back to goal. Span popped it in the corner. It's 1-0.
Ross Barkley. Willian with the dummy. Barkley does visit it. Abraham with a header. Oh, it's hit the post and come back out. To Johnny Coucher, helps on first time net. Options in the middle, and there is the game's opening goal. It is a tap in from very close range for Matt Doherty.
Right across the face, goal, real chances. That one apiece, we wait for a flag. Josh King looked an absolute mile offside.
He's going to look, it's a goal. It's been given as a goal.
Ball, here's across MacArthur George and just about smuggled Cliff, but it's a penalty to Crystal Palace, and he scores! Crystal Palace take the lead. Milivojevic, his imperious record at taking penalties continues. Back to Ndombele, left footed and in! And Tanguy Ndombele scores a critical goal for Spurs.
Wide again to Horahan. First time ball, left footed into the box and into the nets. And Aston Villa take the lead. A minute and a half ago, Aston Villa scored, and now the goal is chalked off. It's taken so long.
Aurier's already on a yellow card, and Serge Aurier is sent off.
Gilbert looks up, great ball in. Oh, that's a wonderful goal. And it's 1-0, and it'll count this time. Anwar El Ghazi.
Your commentator. Hugo Lloris is in all sorts of trouble. Oh my goodness, what's he done? He tried to pirouette with the ball, far too lackadaisical, and Danny Ings ate it for breakfast. Right edge of the penalty area, back to Ericsson, to Harry Kane, who's bearing down on goal. Harry Kane had a sliver of the goal to aim at, and the England captain finds the corner of the net.
Seems to Webster, gave the ball away, dives in on Mason Mount, and it will be a penalty. How clumsy from Brighton.
Jorginho steps up, right-footed, drives into the bottom corner.
Ake fires it in, double ricochet, Bournemouth 3 up. Sit back, relax, read a book. Stuart Atwell now goes over to the linesman who says it's offside.
James Ward-Prowse eyes it, bends it, good effort from Ward-Prowse, and a brilliant save from Hugo Lloris. Ward-Prowse is going to bend in another dangerous looking free kick. It's another beauty. Oh, what a save from Lloris, denying Maya Yoshida.
Doherty looks for the early ball in. Oh, from Jimenez, it's an own goal. It is 2-0 to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now Peters gets the cross in. Rodriguez, 1-1.
Webster, Burn and Dunk. It's sent in, looking for a header. Oh, it's hit the top of the bar. William with a couple of steppers, drives down the right, took a deflection off of Dan Burn, and surely that will seal it.
Anson back, shot by Cresswell, it's into the back of the net, West Ham are level.
And then arriving at the far post to bang the ball home was McGinn. Here come Burnley though, they've got other ideas. Wood with a header, 2-2.
Still Zaha though, might think about a shot. In the end he opts to try and release.
Oh yeah! And it's the second goal! It's Andros Townsend! There you have it. Let's rattle through as many considered reports as we can between now and when we are done and dusted and take you to Goodison. All began at lunchtime at Bramall Lane. John Anderson, your commentator, for Sheffield United 0, Liverpool 1.
7 wins out of 7 and 8 points clear at the top, but this was a streaky victory by Liverpool as Sheffield United matched them for much of the game. The winning goal was a calamity for Blades goalkeeper Dean Henderson, who allowed a harmless shot by Jorginho Wijnaldum to go through his hands and through his legs as it dribbled over the line. Leon Clark should have earned the hosts a deserved point, but blazed over late on, and Jurgen Klopp's men clung on for the sort of unglamorous win which so often defines title-winning sides. Sheffield United 0, Liverpool 1.
Loads of tweets coming in at TalkSport Live about Chelsea and about the work being done by Frank Lampard and his young players. They've beaten Brighton 2-0 in front of John Howick.
Chelsea give Brighton the blues as Lampard celebrates his first win at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League. Brighton was set up to frustrate Chelsea in the first half and managed to do just that, with Pedro, Barkley and Alonso all wasting their chances on the occasions when they did manage to break the Brighton defence. All of the Seagulls' hard work, however, was undone in the first 5 minutes of the second half. A terrible touch by Adam Webster in his own penalty area allowed Mason Mount to just nip ahead of the defender, who was brought down by the Brighton centre-back. Jorginho stepped up and converted the penalty to much relief around Stamford Bridge. The insurance goal came with a slice of luck. Williams' effort from a tight angle inside the box deflected in off of Dan Burn to bang Lampard his first 3 points in the Premier League at Stamford Bridge. Brighton, meanwhile, still haven't won since the opening day. Final score, Chelsea 2, Brighton 0.
Couple of big 2-2 draws as well. Bournemouth West Ham was 5th and 6th heading in front of Andrew Self.
It finished here at the Vitality Stadium, Bournemouth 2, West Ham 2, in an open game from the off. It was a fine strike on the turn by Andriy Yarmolenko, which gave the visitors a deserved lead. But step forward VAR, dotted lines, grid lines, ordnance survey and technology for a full 2 minutes to decide whether anyone was offside after Josh King equalised when West Ham couldn't clear across into their box. Into the second period, and Callum Wilson made it 7 in 7 games against the Irons with a fine strike just 35 seconds in. Bournemouth thought they'd made it 3 when Ake struck home from a corner, and whilst VAR sorted things out in the first half, it may have flooded its own waters with this decision. Cresswell's deflected strike on 75 levelled things up quite rightly as it finished Bournemouth 2, West Ham 2.
And 2-2 at Villa Park as well, an eventful one and a controversial one for Barry Swain.
Villa and Burnley certainly served up the entertainment on an afternoon of incident at Villa Park. The first half was a hectic affair. Horahan hitting a post with Villa. McNeil the bar for Burnley, both from free kicks. McGinn then had the goal chalked off from VAR. It was a correct decision, but why oh why did it take 2.5 minutes for the decision to come through to the referee's ear? Anwar El Ghazi then fired Villa ahead 12 minutes before half-time. A great finish from Gilbert's cross. Villa good value for the half-time lead. Jay Rodriguez levelled for Burnley before Villa were back in front 11 minutes from time through McGinn, but 60 seconds later Chris Wood thumped a header from close range into the back of the net. Final score at Villa Park: Aston Villa 2, Burnley 2.
It also finished Wolves 2, Watford 0. Much needed win for Nuno Espirito Santo's men. Doherty with the opener, a Janmat own goal, the second one there, and Crystal Palace beating Norwich by 2-0 as well. Luka Milojevic with another penalty, dead eye from the spot. Andros Townsend with the other goal as well. So that's where we stand in the Premier League. Liverpool 21 points from 7 games, proudly atop. Manchester City 13 from 6. Can they close that gap? We'll find out in a couple of moments. Spurs back up to 4th as things stand, though the likes of Leicester and Arsenal, who play later in the weekend, do have games in hand. Southampton, after their loss, slip to 14th. Villa, Newcastle and Watford now the bottom 3. The 5:30 commentary day: Everton, Manchester City, Tom Rennie and Chris Perry. We head there next on Premier League Live.
As we look down from the cradle of our hot air balloon, we wonder as a svelte ocean of stampeding gazelles gallop majestically earthbound towards a water hole.
Somebody say a water hole. Lovely. Mine's a pint. The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast, Monday morning from 6 o'clock.
Your natural selection for the big game, bodacious banter and hookers. The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast, Monday morning from 6 on Talk Sport. Masters of Drive Time Radio, Adrian Durham and Darren Goff.
Drive, she said. I'll tell you when to stop.
Big names and big comments from the best in the business.
Sharing everything need to step up the performances. I still think United will finish in the top 4.
Scattergun Sports Talk and explosive opinion.
Jamie Carragher.
I'm talking to Gary Neville and Adrian Durham. 5 years ago, I wouldn't have known who to punch first.
Adrian Durham and Darren Goff.
I love the smell of football in the afternoon.
Weekday afternoons from 4.
Butter me buns.
On Talk Sport.
Hello, Jim White here. Sorry, I've just nipped into the dentist for a quick checkup. Was that open wide? All right. Well, never mind that. Polish up your radio tomorrow morning from 10, when I'll be extracting the biggest names in football and filling your morning with the biggest and best stories I can get my teeth into.
Jim White! Weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Can I rinse out now? Oh, sorry, I missed the thing there.
The Sports Bar with Andy Goldstein and Jason Cundy on Talk Sport.
Join the cutthroat posse in the last chance saloon of sporting prowess.
Come and Navajo if you think you're hard enough. They'll be wrestling up tomorrow's back pages as they send you crashing headfirst along the bar of sport.
It's the good, the bad, and the Cundy.
Get off your horse and drink your milk.
On the Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on Talk Sport.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast, Monday morning from 6 o'clock on Talk Sport. The cornerstone of any nutritious sports breakfast.
A morning delivery of big names and essential game talk, discreetly wrapped and violently lobbed over the fence onto your radio. The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast.
100% pure Scotch beef.
Monday morning from 6 on Talk Sport.
Driving home with Darren Goff and Durham, a sporting legend and angry sports journalist who'll pick a fight with anyone.
Just really winds me up. Absolutely unbelievable.
To say I'm angry is an understatement.
Adrian Durham, what an absolute clown.
Dynamic, double strength drive time radio.
Shall I stay?
I don't like listening to him. I'll turn off.
Do you want me to stay?
Adrian Durham and Darren Goff.
He's an idiot.
Right, hands up, who wants me to stay?
Drive
5:30 come Wednesday day. Everton, Manchester City, Tom Rennie and Chris Perry. We head there next on Premier League Live.
As we look down from the cradle of our hot air balloon, we wonder as a svelte ocean of stampeding gazelles gallop majestically earthbound towards a waterhole.
Somebody say a water no. Lovely. Mine's a pint. The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast, Monday morning from 6 o'clock.
Your natural selection for the big game, bodacious banter and hookers. The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast, Monday morning from 6 on Talk Sport. Masters of Drive Time Radio, Adrian Durham and Darren Goff.
Drive, she said. I'll tell you when to stop.
Big names and big comments from the best in the business.
Darren never did need to step up the performances. I still think United will finish in the top 4.
Scattergun Sports Talk and explosive opinion. James Carey.
I'm talking to Gary Neville and Adrian Durham. 5 years ago, I wouldn't have known who to punch first.
Adrian Durham and Darren Goff.
I love the smell of football in the afternoon.
Weekday afternoons from 4.
Butter me buns.
On Talk Sport.
Hello, Jim White here. Sorry, I've just nipped into the dentist for a quick checkup. Was that open wide? All right. Well, never mind that. Polish up your radio tomorrow morning from 10 when I'll be extracting the biggest names in football and filling your morning with the biggest and best stories I can get my teeth into.
Jim White, weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Can I rinse out now? Oh, sorry, I missed the thing there.
The Sports Bar with Andy Goldstein and Jason Cundy on Talk Sport.
Join the cutthroat posse in the Last Chance Saloon of sporting prowess.
2 or 3 games to league. So
if you think you're hard
they've got questions, but the problem you have against Manchester City is how much possession are you going to get first because you need the ball to go and hurt that team. And if Manchester City are on form and they keep the possession like they
Get off your horse and drink your milk.
On the Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on Talk Sport.
But they do control the game. Breakfast Monday morning from 6 o'clock on Talk Sport.
There's a quick question on Bernardo Silva. It's been a controversial week for him. We don't need to get into it too much, but for those that haven't seen the story, feel free to Google it during the next ad break. Bernardo Silva in trouble for a tweet he sent about Benjamin Mendy, his friend, last week, and it has been a big story. He has been such a key player, Bernardo Silva, for this side, but he's on the bench today. Is that anything to do with the controversy, do you think, or is it just because of the tactical decisions that Guardiola has made?
I think it's probably a little bit of both. He's probably got Champions League in mind next week, but also I think it's probably a good idea to take him out of the limelight. He didn't need to start today. When you look at what they've got available, you know, they bring in Gundogan, they bring in Mahrez, Sterling comes back into the team. They've got so much strength in those areas of the pitch. They don't have to throw him in if they don't really want to. Is his head right? I'm not sure. I think it's been a difficult week for him.
Yeah, City take on Dinamo Zagreb in the Champions League on Tuesday at the Etihad Stadium. Let's hear from the two managers, shall we? Everton's Marco Silva and the manager of Manchester City, Pep Guardiola.
Of course, I'm the first one when I look to the table. Of course, we know everything starts now. It's too early to start to look to the table and to be in panic. I will tell you also, because like you know, if you had a good game the last home game, and if you had a good game and if you achieve that 3 points, you are talking completely different about the position in the table, because everything is too close.
So last game in Watford, 5 shots, 5 goals. So after that, analyze the game after 20 minutes when we fight 0. It's unnecessary because it's the easiest one. So sometimes to be perfect is about how you solve the problems, and there is not always there a mistake. So I'm not looking for here. I'm not here to say I'm going to play the perfect game. What is that? Nothing. 0. Don't care.
If you ask me if you are really concerned or in panic, of course not. We know what we are doing, we know what we should improve, and if you improve in that type of situations, the results will come.
So try to play good games, and of course the way we play is what I'm most satisfied. So especially this year. So that is what it is.
Thoughts there, Pep Guardiola and Marco Silva. For Manchester City, Gabriel Jesus starts up front, a player who seems to have been chopping at the bit for a long time to get into this starting 11. Of course, we all thought he would be the replacement for Sergio Aguero, and hasn't proved the case with Aguero's change in style and brilliant form as well. Where has the development of Gabriel Jesus brought him? How good is he now?
I think he's certainly ready to start. I think he'd walk into most Premier League teams as their striker. Everton would love to have Gabriel Jesus in their team. Unfortunately, he's got Sergio Aguero ahead of him, generally, who is one of the greatest strikers in Premier League history. Now, it makes sense today, I think, to play him against Everton. He's got 4 goals in his last 3 games against Everton. You know, some players play really well against certain sides. He's going to come into the team. Aguero has one of his worst goal scoring records, I think, against Everton as well. So get him into the side. It also keeps Aguero fresh for the Champions League next week, which is probably where they're going to be looking for him to play. And I think Jesus has got a little bit to prove, so I think it's a win-win for everyone.
And a quick line on Fabian Delph, 89 appearances for Man City during 4 years there, a Premier League title winner in the last 2 seasons with them as well, starting in midfield for Everton today. What do you make of his time at the Toffees?
I like him as a player. I think he's a really good player. I'm glad to see him playing central midfield now on a regular basis, but I think he's struggling with the transition from a side like Manchester City with so much quality around you to playing with players that aren't quite as good. I think there's been frustration at times with his opponent, with his teammates, and I think that's something he's got to get over.
Big game coming up here on Saturday evening in the UK from Goodison Park. It's Everton up against Manchester City. It's Marco Silva under pressure. It's Pep Guardiola looking to chase down Liverpool at the top following the Reds' victory earlier today against Sheffield United. The players are in the tunnel. Kickoff is next, and you're listening to Premier League Live.
I'm Sam Matterface, and this is Game Day. TalkSport has your weekend covered as we give you a series of exclusive podcasts bringing you total coverage of the Premier League with a trio of top podcasts. On Thursday, myself and a legendary lineup of pros and pundits will preview the action to all 10 Premier League matches.
On Saturday, it's Your Verdict with me, Laura Woods, and Adrian Durham, bringing you all the reaction and the very best of the phone-in.
On Monday morning, it's the turn of the record book with me, Danny Kelly. I'll be joined by the very best guests. We look back at all the weekend's action, going down the odd tangent as well, all on the way.
Subscribe now to the Game Day podcast on Acast, Spotify or iTunes.
The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on Talk Sport.
Hello, I'm Andy Goldstein, and of course you can hear me on the Sports Bar with Jason Cundy. We'll be taking all your calls, text, tweets and emails on all the big talking points from the weekend's football. And remember, we bring you the very first look at the next day's back page headlines every single night.
The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on Talk Sport.
Jim White and Natalie Sawyer. Weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
I think it's all about involvement.
The new sound of mid-mornings on Talk Sport with Jim White and Natalie Sawyer.
Pulling you spot on with that.
News-breaking, globe-spanning, mid-morning football talk.
But just for me, I find it a little bit cringy.
Legal, honest, decent, fair.
Maybe that's going to be contentious, but that's what I do.
White and Sawyer.
You don't play, you don't get a medal.
Weekday mornings from 10.
I'm trying my best here.
On Talk Sport.
Hawksby and Jacobs, weekday afternoons from 1 on Talk Sport.
One Man Went to Moan was a great idea from one of the listeners for Andy's Edinburgh show, and we thought that would be a good bit in the show, but it's not a bit, it's the show, isn't it, really?
The afternoon radio show that's too cool for school. Hawksby and Jacobs.
He immediately got out of red coat, it's gone. Then he got out of yellow colour.
Weekday afternoons from 1.
Then he got a 7 of diamonds out.
And then
on Talk Sport.
As we look down from the cradle of our hot air balloon, we wonder as a svelte ocean of stampeding gazelles gallop majestically earthbound towards a waterhole.
Somebody's here, what to know? Lovely. Mine's a pint. The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast, Monday morning from 6 o'clock.
Your natural selection for the big game, bodacious banter and hookers. The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast, Monday morning from 6 on Talk Sport.
Adrian Durham, what an absolute clown.
Dynamic, double-strength drive-time radio.
Shall I stay?
I don't like listening to him, I'll turn off.
Do you want me to stay?
Adrian Durham and Darren Goff.
He's an idiot.
Right, hands up, who wants me to stay?
Drive-time radio.
I don't have to.
Weekdays from 4, only on Talk Sport.
You are listening to TalkSport's coverage of Everton against Manchester City from Goodison Park. I'm your host Tom Rennie. Alongside me is the former Tottenham, Southampton, Charlton and Wimbledon defender Chris Perry. This is Premier League Live. Everton aiming to respond after back-to-back league defeats. They host a Manchester City side who beat Watford 8-0 last weekend and also found the back of the net with frequency in the Carabao Cup against Preston in midweek as well. Let's talk about Everton. Their 4-0 win against Man City in January 2017, their only victory in 12 meetings against the Premier League champions. They will need a performance of that quality to get anything today. They start with Jordan Pickford in goal. They have Luca Digne, Yerry Mina, Michael Keane and Seamus Coleman across the back, left to right. Fabian Delph, former Man City man, in midfield with Morgan Schneiderlin. Gylfi Sigurdsson just in front of them. On the wings, Richarlison and Theo Walcott. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, after his two-goal salvo against Sheffield Wednesday in midweek, starts up front with Moise Keane dropping down to the bench, joined by Lursel, Holgate, Tosin, Iwobi, Sidibe and Tom Davies, who of course scored his first goal for Everton in that morning of Man City in 2017. For the champions, Ederson is in goal, back four left to right of Alexander Zinchenko, Fernandinho, Nicolas Otamendi and Kyle Walker. Rodrigo in the centre midfield with Kevin De Bruyne and Gundogan alongside. Gundogan coming into the side from the Watford result last week. Raheem Sterling also didn't play from the start in that game. He's up front with Jesus and Riyad Mahrez. On the bench it's Bravo, Aguero, Bernardo Silva, David Silva, Mendy, Cancelo and Phil Foden. Michael Oliver is our referee. Man City going to get us underway in a kit you may have seen in midweek against Preston. It starts yellow, it fades into a kind of salmon pink, back down to yellow socks. It truly is disgusting. They kick from left to right as we look in this first half. Everton from right to left, wearing royal blue shirts, white shorts and white socks. And so far, Chris, it's the kit that has dominated our pre-show discussion. Would you buy that one? Would you wear it for a bet?
Not one night. I'll wear it for a bet. I'll wear it for charity or a bet. Absolutely, of course you would. No other reason to do so than that. You know what I mean? It's not great, is it? But
we can see them, though.
Some of the players in it are great.
We can certainly see them very clearly out on the field. We can see Gundogan here turning away from two, midway inside Everton territory. If you have bought this kit, by the way, at TalkSport Live, get in touch on Twitter and send us a picture of you wearing it. As Riyad Mahrez comes forward here with an early strike, it's on target, palmed away by the goalkeeper Pickford, picked up by Raheem Sterling, who looks to fire one cross field, and it's hit Theo Walcott, I believe, on its way through, and Walcott has stayed down here. Took a bit of a thumping there from that delivery.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the initial shot from Riyad Mahrez as he cut inside onto his left foot, bounced up awkwardly in front of Jordan Pickford, and he pushed it away really well, actually, into a really safe area. It went back out wide and the cross came back into the box. Theo Walcott, from the cross from Sterling, takes it full on in the face. But a good initial save from Pickford. I think he needs a good start. I think he hasn't looked great so far this season at times, and the back four in front of him has looked shaky.
That was well punched away, though, by Jordan Pickford that time. Got good distance on it as well. It's incredible to think that he has received criticism for his performances, but he's still a young man. He's been England's number one for a few years as well. He does make some tremendous saves as well, but it's his attitude, isn't it? It's his exuberance. It's the fact he gets into games. It feels too much. He's too intense.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. He gets a little bit too involved where he just needs to take himself away from that at times and just concentrate on making saves and not get involved in things that he can't really affect.
And there was another goalkeeper, England number one, who was like that. He now sits on the Burnley bench, Joe Hart. That was something we said about him a lot during his time at the top of the... As we see a replay again on the monitors of what's led Theo Walcott to go down here. He looks away from it, so he hasn't taken the cross sort of full in the face. It's almost hit him on the side of the head.
That might move this head a little bit more, the fact that it's hit him on the side.
And we are talking at the moment, aren't we? There was a story in the Times last week about there being, perhaps even by next season, a substitution for potential concussions.
They go off and check.
Where they go off for 10 minutes.
Do in rugby. Yeah, they go and do the check.
And lots of other sports.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
And it'll be a 10-minute substitution. You go off and you do your safety checks to make sure they haven't got concussion, and then they can come back on again with that guy then going off.
I think the only possible difficulty with that is players coming on at very short notice and then having to go off again and then having to come back on again. It does look like Alex Iwobi is getting ready, actually, in the Everton dugout.
Yeah, it does seem like we are going to have a bit of a problem here, that he is going to go off, I think, Theo Walcott, and we are going to see an early change here with Iwobi coming on. Walcott remains down at the moment. He's now going to be put onto the orange stretcher, which has been pulled out in front of him. He, at the moment, is being helped onto the stretcher. It does not look good right now for Theo Walcott, as there is some concern for the former Arsenal man. Hit him on I'm not a medical professional, but it hit him on a strange part of his head, and they're very concerned about him. There's several medical professionals, at least 6 in fluorescent yellow jackets, 2 doctors from the medical staff, as Alex Iwobi gets a chatting to from Marco Silva as he is preparing to come on. Alex Iwobi been criticised a little bit during his time. Is he the right man to lead Everton to an era of top 6 challenging?
I'm not sure he's the right man to lead them to it, but he's a decent player you think should get into this Everton side on a regular basis. Certainly he's a talented player. I think it's a big blow losing Walcott this early in the game. I think they put Theo Walcott in there because of his pace and the fact that he's really positive going forward to try and play against Zinchenko. And you just wonder, Marco Silva's probably thought about that a lot. Immediately, it's so early on in the game, that plan has had to change. Iwobi is a completely different player, and it's going to mean a different style of play. They're not going to have that pace, that dynamism down that right hand side. They're going to have Iwobi, who's going to want to come inside and link play, but it almost means you're playing with too many 10s. You almost got 3 number 10s now on the pitch in Sigurdsson, Richarlison and Iwobi, when Walcott would have given you that width that they desperately need.
Been Everton's problem for quite some time, isn't it? Too many number 10s and not much else at the club. Of course, they had Wayne Rooney and they had David Klaassen as well as Sigurdsson start of last season. That was a problem for them. This does give me a brief moment to give you the other scores from today. Liverpool beating Sheffield United by 1-0 to continue their incredible unbeaten start to this season. 7 played, 7 victories, 18 scored, just 5 conceded. That wasn't easy at Bramall Lane by any stretch of the imagination. Aston Villa 2, Burnley 2 at Villa Park. End-to-end game there, as it was at the Vitality. Dean Court, Bournemouth 2, West Ham United 2. Chelsea beating Brighton by 2-0. Same scoreline at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace against Norwich City. Tottenham, what a game that was. Our feature game just before this one against Southampton, winning by 2-1. Serge Aurier was sent off in that game after just 30 minutes. Wolves beating a very poor Watford side by 2-0 as well, as Theo Walcott is now helped off the field. Warm ovation for Theo Walcott, as you'd imagine, from the Everton support. Though I think it's fair to say, they're giving him the polite applause that you would get. I don't think he's endeared himself too much as a player to the Everton crowd during his time here.
Almost a little bit like Arsenal. He has these moments, doesn't he? He has runs of games where he does really well, but just can't consistently do it over a season. But big loss for Everton so early on.
And how tough is it now for the 2 sets of players, having had to wait a good 4 minutes or so to then kind of get warm again, get live again?
Difficult. You just started the game as well. It is difficult. You almost want another warm-up. I wouldn't be surprised if... I was a little bit surprised I didn't see teams just throwing a ball on the pitch just to move it about, keep yourself moving. You try and make sure you're not too involved in what's going on with the injury, and you try and keep your mind on the game.
Iwobi is on, Theo Walcott is off. We certainly wish him all the best. Everton have lost 1 substitution as well, which could prove pivotal as this game gets into the latter stages. A volley back there towards Ederson in goal for Man City, which he dealt with on his goal line with the chest and then swiped a volley away. We could say it maybe wasn't the greatest connection, but he certainly dealt with it, as you'd imagine, with characteristic calmness.
He didn't mean for the ball to go straight to Rodrigo, though. He got a little bit lucky with where it went from his left foot, but certainly his chest control was excellent.
Ball is with Nicolas Otamendi, just inside his own half, outright to Mahrez, helped on towards De Bruyne, around the back of Delph, low cross from De Bruyne, cut out by Yerry Mina. Delph then takes over, back to Pickford, whose clearance is swiped upfield towards Calvert-Lewin, who's done well to get there before Otamendi, and it's good skill by Iwobi to try and take on Rodrigo, but just kind of run into a brick wall there in the shape of the big defensive central midfielder who's certainly a lot taller than Fernandinho, a lot more of a physically commanding presence than the man he is currently replacing and probably will eventually replace full-time in that role.
He is, and he's been really impressive, hasn't he, in the opening 6 games of the Premier League season. He really has looked the part, he's fitted in really well. Big shoes to fill in Fernandinho, and he's come in and he's looked every bit the player that can take over that role.
Going into this weekend, most aerial duels won, most possession won, most tackles for Manchester City across their games this season. No surprising statistics for you there, I'm sure.
I think it's probably Fernandinho would have been topping all of those had he been playing, though.
Absolutely, he usually is. Has been for such a long time now at Manchester City, filling in at the central defence in the absence of Laporte. At the moment, John Stones, former Evertonian, of course, missing for Man City as well.
It's interesting when Jordan Pickford kicks it forward looking for Calvert-Lewin that it's Rodrigo that's actually jumping with him, and Fernandinho's just dropping off to pick up any flick-ons or second balls, which suggests that he doesn't really fancy himself in a 1v1 duel against Calvert-Lewin.
Everton coming forward down the right-hand side. Seamus Coleman end line on the right. Cross blocked by Fernandinho. Breaks to Raheem Sterling. Down the line towards De Bruyne. Richarlison with a good challenge on De Bruyne and recovers the ball for Everton. Into Sigurdsson up against Rodrigo. Down the line to Richarlison. Away from Rodrigo. Sigurdsson carries on. Michael Oliver, the referee, said play on after a foul on Richarlison. I think they may have wanted a free kick there, Everton, and Man City won the ball back, and now they'll break away with Raheem Sterling. Fouled by Gundogan on the left-hand side. Midway inside Everton territory. Former Liverpool man getting a boot, as you'd imagine, from Everton supporters, though he'd probably get a bigger boo from Liverpool fans these days. Cleared upfield towards Calvert-Lewin, who miscontrols. Cleared away by City. Fernandinho in midfield there, knocking the ball forward. Fabian Delph at the other end is able to miscontrol, actually. I was about to say get the ball back for Everton, but he couldn't do it. And City are back on it, just inside their own half, left of centre with Fernandinho. Down the left channel towards Raheem Sterling as the home support get behind their side vocally as they chase Manchester City down. 10 minutes gone here. It is still goalless between Everton and Manchester City. Possession stats say 88% to Manchester City, but of course we had that 5-6 minute stoppage for Theo Walcott, so the stats are somewhat skewed early doors. We'll have plenty of stoppage time as Gundogan spreads the ball from centre to right, and Riyad Mahrez, who originally miscontrols but then gets there before Digne. Into Kyle Walker, back to Rodrigo. Back out to Riyad Mahrez in space on the right. Up against Iwobi. Jinx back on the left boot. Early cross. Yerry Mina doesn't clear particularly well. Straight back to Riyad Mahrez. Oh, Gundogan's missed a sitter. From a yard out. Open goal, and Gundogan's hit the bar.
How has he missed that?
They come again, Manchester City. They should be 1-0 up. They are not. Crossfield to Raheem Sterling. Up against Seamus Coleman. What a let-off for Everton.
The ease at which they created that chance, that was a big worry for Everton, wasn't it? It was a poor clearance from Yerry Mina straight to Riyad Mahrez, outside of his left foot, across the 6-yard box. And Ilkay Gundogan.
Oh, what a ball from Kevin De Bruyne down the right-hand side into Riyad Mahrez in the area. Yerry Mina went to ground. Mahrez crossed it, hit Pickford, cleared away. Only as far as Kyle Walker on the right-hand side by the corner flag. He finds De Bruyne. De Bruyne's ball in towards the back post. May have taken a deflection there on the way through. It was watched well by Pickford and gathered well by Pickford.
Yeah, well, the Gundogan chance he should score. Mahrez puts the initial ball in. Yerry Mina's clearance goes straight back to him, outside of his left foot, across the 6-yard box, past Pickford, no one in front of him, 4 yards out, 3 yards out even, and he hits it onto the crossbar. Ilkay Gundogan. It should be 1-0 to Manchester City.
City have scored 24 goals in their opening 6 league games this season, the most by a top-flight team in the opening 6 matches of a season since Wolverhampton Wanderers in 1955, who scored 25 that campaign. So you'd have bet your house on them scoring early here, but they have not. Everton have been let off, and they're coming forward with Richarlison. Corner of the penalty area for Everton. Runs into Fernandinho, surely fouled there. That's right on the line of the penalty area. Fernandinho just pushed him out when he put the foul in, but that was a poor challenge there from the Brazilian makeshift central defender, and I think that may well have started in the area as well, you know.
I think that's shoulder to shoulder. I think Richarlison goes to ground.
Very generous.
No, listen, if I'm a centre-back and I make that challenge, I'm not expecting a foul to be given.
He's gone elbow into rib.
Well, trust me, Richarlison wanted to go down.
He has won that free kick.
A naive challenge, shall we say, someone who maybe hasn't played centre-back a lot.
And that maybe could be the reason that Everton take the lead, that they've got a centre-half that isn't actually a centre-half.
Well, this is going to suit a left foot up, so you'd think it'd be Luca Dean.
Wonderful left foot the fullback has, a specialist in these situations, but so is Gylfi Sigurdsson.
Sigurdsson would have to go outside the post and bring it back.
13 minutes played, currently 0-0. Luca Dean with it. It's over the top from the right-hand side. It never really had the whip, the dip. He had nothing really there, and it's just harmlessly over the top.
Yeah, he never really got the direction or anything right there.
Luca Dean, of course, a specialist in those situations, former Barcelona man. A regular at finding the top corner during his career. Such a creative force on the field as well. Down that left-hand side, really taking the role of Leighton Baines there over on the left in his stride. And that was a poor effort from the French full-back. 14 minutes gone, 0-0. High ball towards Raheem Sterling over on the left-hand side for Manchester City, but he's unable to get on the end of it. And it goes out of play for a throw into Everton down the right-hand side. Another one won by the Toffees. Seamus Coleman wants to take it quickly. You heard there on our effects mics he was desperate for a runner, but there wasn't a runner for him.
They want to really... Calvert-Lewin seems to be playing on Fernandinho, or that side of the pitch. Fernandinho and Zinchenko, they want to throw it into him aerially. They want to hit him aerially every time they get it. And it's not a bad ploy.
They want to be brave, Everton. They are trying to be brave against Manchester City, but so far they've only had one poor free kick to speak of in the opening 15 minutes. Otamendi's pass intercepted by Iwobi, but Jesus was alert to it, running away from goal. Gets to a loose ball before Yerry Mina. Ball out left towards Raheem Sterling. Sterling running at Richarlison. Richarlison puts a good challenge in, and he's actually found a good pass back to Seamus Coleman as well. Coleman into Schneidlin. Back to Keane, who clears upfield. Zinchenko intercepts for Manchester City in their Tequila Sunrise kit. And they once again are in possession on the halfway line, as they so often are. Now looking to pick a pass forward is Rodrigo. Left to Zinchenko. In front of Pep Guardiola, who is now standing on the edge of his very short technical area here at Goodison Park alongside Marco Silva. Diagonal ball in the air, outright towards Riyad Mahrez. Dini with the challenge, throw in to Manchester City.
Yeah, what a ball it was from Fernandinho, and that's what he can give you in those areas. 60-yard ball, absolutely on the money.
Jesus recovers possession, finds De Bruyne, looks for a reverse pass to Jesus, but Delph intercepts. His forward ball, though, was right at Iwobi, who couldn't do much with it. Mina then beats Gabriel Jesus to a loose ball. It's scrappy at the moment. Everton just trying to get the ball out of their defensive third, and City are pressing high and not letting them, and they're winning the ball back once again with De Bruyne. Mahrez tries a back heel. It hits the fullback Luca Dean, who wants the throw-in to go his team's way, but it won't. It's another throw to Manchester City, who just kept Everton penned in there, didn't they?
It's always difficult to get out against Manchester City because you've got so many players behind the ball. When you win it back, you've got to be so precise with your passing.
Oh, there's a precise pass from De Bruyne. Out left to Raheem Sterling in the penalty area, drops the shoulder, beats two on the end line now. Low ball in, away. 2 yards from goal from Yerry Mina, though no real pressure from a City attacker on the cross.
Sterling did brilliantly, got to the byline. Just looking for someone to make an angle for him to cut it back, and no one really made that movement.
Everton now do clear upfield with Michael Keane. 17 minutes gone, 0-0 between Everton and Manchester City. Good challenge by Schneidlin, the former Manchester United man, but he's lost it from his forward pass. Jesus takes over. Out left to Raheem Sterling, level with the penalty area left-hand side. Behind him is Zinchenko, wearing number 11. Behind him is Rodrigo. Everton trying to push Manchester City out. The champions not ceding possession. Right to Kyle Walker. Back in his own half is Otamendi. Everton have a chance now to reset, to regroup. Almost playing in a 4-4-2 at the moment, Everton, with Sigurdsson kind of pressing up alongside Calvert-Lewin, dropping off now as Kyle Walker runs from right to left. Back heel from Gundogan, trying to find a return to Kyle Walker. Delph intercepts, cleared by Pickford, up towards Fernandinho. Calvert-Lewin has got to chase down the Manchester City captain. Not sure Fernandinho knew he was there for a second, but Calvert-Lewin couldn't get anywhere near him.
Yeah, I don't think Calvert-Lewin even needs to make that run there. He's never going to get anywhere near the ball. He needs to conserve energy because they're going to work hard enough. Looks like, as you said, Sigurdsson is going to come alongside him when they're looking to press Manchester City. They're going to let the two centre-backs of Manchester City have the ball, play across field and try and be compact behind that.
Here's Kevin De Bruyne, about 15 yards over the halfway line, right-hand side. Tries a crossfield chip towards Raheem Sterling. It's a rare misplaced pass from Kevin De Bruyne, and that's going to go out of play for a goal kick to Everton. 19 minutes played, Everton 0, Manchester City 0.
You'll just wonder, will City rue that missed chance from Gundogan just to ease some nerves away from him, just to get control of the game?
Yeah, that's the best chance of the game so far. Gundogan with an open goal from maybe 5 yards out. Wonderful ball from Riyad Mahrez, hits the crossbar.
5, I think you're being kind, 5 yards. I reckon 3 at best.
Done well to get there. I mean, what's it like when you miss a chance like that?
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know, of course. No. What's it like when you see someone close by? Would you
You're very frustrated, yeah.
Would you have been boosted by that if you were Yerry Mina?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Would that raise your game a bit?
Yeah, well, you start... When teams miss chances like that, you start to think, well, maybe this is going to be our day.
Well, 20 minutes gone and they've not conceded against Manchester City, so they're already, if you think about Watford, they were 5-0 down at this point last week. So they're already doing better than those terrible Hornets from 7 days ago. Ball down the line here for Kyle Walker for City. Sliding challenge by Yerry Mina. Went to ground. He does go to ground, Yerry Mina. Second time he's done that now.
He's fully committed, isn't he? Certainly when he makes a challenge. There wasn't really any room for Kyle Walker to do anything but try and get the cross in, but when you're a bit higher up the pitch and you're diving in like that, players can kid you on and go past you, and it can cause you problems.
Manu played alongside Gabriel Jesus for Palmeiras a few years ago where they won the title out in Brazil. Yerry Mina up against him in the Premier League today. Corner comes in from Gundogan. Not a good delivery from the German international, and it will be a goal kick to Everton. 20 minutes played, it is 0-0. Just a reminder, we are back with you tomorrow in the Premier League. Just one game in English football's top tier tomorrow. Leicester City up against Newcastle United, 4:30 UK time. That one gets underway. And Monday night football, the battle of the fallen giants. Manchester United up against Arsenal from Old Trafford. I'll be back with Paul Parker for that one. Premier League title winner with Manchester United, of course. High ball up towards Calvert-Lewin. Well, he won the first one.
I think he was offside from the first ball. He certainly won it very cleanly. There was a little bit of confusion about who was going to deal with the flick on, but the offside flag was up against him as the ball came forward from Yerry Mina.
22 years of age now, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He is getting to that stage where he's become Everton's lead striker. 14 starts in their last 17 Premier League games either side of the summer.
He's made 100 appearances, I was reading the other night.
Not a young man anymore, not someone you keep saying he's inexperienced.
He made 100 appearances, a lot of appearances to make.
When is he going to start finding the back of the net with regularity?
I don't think he's not ever going to be that man. I think he's one for someone to play alongside. I think they need to play two forwards really if you're going to get the best out of him.
No one really does that anymore. Take him back to 95 and he'd have been great. Got to find a way to find the back of the net with regularity. Somebody up front for Everton. It's what they've lacked for a long, long time at Goodison Park, with a brief 2 years of Lukaku breaking up a search for a centre forward. Of course, he was fantastic back in 2017 here when he finished second in the goal scoring charts behind Harry Kane that season. That was the year they beat City 4-0 here. Of course, banging him in for Inter Milan now after a disappointing time at Manchester United. High ball from Everton up towards Calvert-Lewin. Rodrigo and he battling for it. Won by the Manchester City midfielder, but it goes out of play for a throw on the far side.
Yeah, I think credit to Everton in terms of they've managed to stop the flow of that City play. There's no fluidity to them now. They're not just passing the ball and playing through them. It's much more difficult.
Schneiderlin flicks on for Everton, away by Gundogan into Raheem Sterling. De Bruyne dispossessed by former teammate Fabian Delph, and it's on to Iwobi. First chance to run at the fullback. Outside him is Digne. Cuts it back. Turned towards goal by Sigurdsson. Good block. Breaks to Iwobi. Everton still have it. Delph to Schneiderlin. Forward to Iwobi. Sent for the penalty area. Left to Digne, whose cross is overhit. Oh, it's over everybody. Even Richarlison couldn't recover it at the back post. Great chance for Everton. It's good defending by Manchester City.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a miss hit. Ball gets played across the pitch. Delph does well to win it off De Bruyne, just rolls it to Iwobi, who has got Digne on the overlap outside him. He cuts it back towards the penalty spot, and he doesn't really get the connection he wants there, Gylfi Sigurdsson. He almost tries to pass it in rather than catch it with any sort of power, and it was blocked in the end.
Finally some football in the opposition half though from Everton. At the other end, Riyad Mahrez has pushed and run away from Digne, and he's now attacking Fabian Delph, who's in the full-back area temporarily. Crossed by De Bruyne into Jesus. Jesus heads home, and Manchester City, having survived a scare just moments ago, take the lead at the other end, and it's Gabriel Jesus from close range.
I think there's going to be a question mark over whether this is offside or not, but it's an absolutely brilliant ball from Kevin De Bruyne once again. How many times do we see him in that right hand pocket just outside the 18-yard box? Mahrez just skips past Luca Digne far too easily, cuts inside, sets it back with De Bruyne, first time, bends it in. He's certainly onside. Gabriel Jesus in behind Michael Keane, and there he is, 5 yards out with a simple header, just heads it down into the ground past Pickford. It's so simple, that goal, but the pass from De Bruyne is absolutely sublime.
Gabriel Jesus loves to play against Everton. It's now 5 goals in 5 career appearances against the Toffees. More Premier League goals against Everton than against any other club. That's why he's in the side today, as Everton come back down the other end. Sigurdsson's effort is saved by the goalkeeper. Spilled it momentarily, did Edison, but he gets off his line to smother at the second attempt.
Well, it was Calvert-Lewin at the heart of it. He won the initial header. Iwobi plays a pass into Sigurdsson on the edge of the box. One touch to set himself, fires it with his right foot. It's a good strike, but not far enough in the corner. Bounces in front of Edison, which makes it awkward for him. He parried it in front of him, but no Everton player to tuck in the rebound.
Just about dealt with it there, the Manchester City goalkeeper. They lead by 1-0. They're coming forward again now. Jesus heads on towards Sterling. He is offside this time. Perfectly timed run, wasn't it, from Gabriel Jesus? Just kept on the shoulder of the centre half.
Was just so good, wasn't it? I mean, he knows when the ball gets set back to De Bruyne there that it's going to go into that area. How many times have we seen De Bruyne put such a similar type of ball in where he just bends it behind the back four? And he knew that if he made that run, De Bruyne would find him.
2 assists against Watford last week in the 8-0 win, and a goal. Another assist for him today. That's 8 for the season.
I was going to say 8 for the season already.
Absolutely phenomenal. Some players get that in a season, and you would say it's probably a job well done.
That's what De Bruyne brings to this team, that they even missed last season. However, how good they were last season, that's what they missed.
No coincidence he didn't start against Norwich City when they lost at Carrow Road a couple of weeks ago. 26 minutes gone here. Everton 0, Manchester City 1. Raheem Sterling's breakaway is halted by a savage challenge there from Fabian Delph. Referee allowed play to continue. Not a great challenge at all from Fabian Delph, and he might well find himself on the end of a yellow card as and when this ball goes out of play, though Man City are in possession, and so it might not go out of play for quite some time. Possession stats after 27 minutes, 70-30 in favour of Manchester City, who lead through Gabriel Jesus' opener. Game plan so far has not worked out well for Everton, and they are a side that don't have a great record when going behind under Marco Silva. Just got 4 points from the 21 Premier League matches where they have gone behind. 4 draws and 17 defeats in that time. No Premier League side last season and this season have lost as many as Everton have after going a goal behind. So it would take a big performance now, but Seamus Coleman is certainly capable of that. He runs brilliantly cross-field from right to left to bring the Toffees forward over the halfway line to Digne, back towards Fabian Delph. Crowd urging them forward. City back in numbers. Everton not committing too many up there. And that's the frustrating thing for the fans. For a moment it was on, and Everton just weren't brave enough to push the players upfield.
they're a little bit safe in possession at times, Everton.
This man, Gylfi Sigurdsson, hoping to provide a bit of magic. Forward ball into Richarlison. Cross comes in, beating the goalkeeper, but it's headed away by Otamendi. Was a man lurking at the back post. It breaks to Sigurdsson on the right-hand side. Into Richarlison. Tries to turn in the area. Good challenge by Rodrigo. They had committed players forward, and City can now break. Kevin De Bruyne finds Raheem Sterling. 4 in the attack for City. Crossfield to Mahrez. Riyad Mahrez shoots on target, but it's saved by Pickford. It was straight at the England number 1. I think Mahrez will feel he could and maybe should have done better.
Well, what a counter-attack it was. Rodrigo starts it off by winning the ball, and then De Bruyne carries it to the halfway line, slips it to the left-hand side to Sterling. His crossfield pass finds Mahrez. He's 12 yards out on the right side of the penalty area. He hits it with his right foot, which is his swinger. Doesn't get a great connection, and it's actually a really simple save in the end for Pickford.
Straight at the England number 1. He did hold it at the second attempt. It was fired at him, but anywhere else, and that would have been 2-0 Man City, and probably all done at the 29-minute mark. It remains 1-0 to the champions as Richarlison's cross from the right-hand side is blocked.
That counter-attack all came from Everton not putting a ball into the box when Sigurdsson had the chance to. And that's what they need to do with Calvert-Lewin. He's winning headers against the 2 centre-backs. Put it in the box where they're not used to playing against that type of play.
Dini on the left-hand side, midway inside City territory. Back towards Mina, into Iwobi, who came on early for Theo Walcott. After the ball smacked the former Arsenal man Walcott on the side of the head. And he was taken off with what looked like a suspected concussion. We don't know that as yet. Of course, we will update you if we get any information in the commentary positions. Just seeing a replay on our monitors here of the goal by Gabriel Jesus, and I go back to the game between Wigan and Manchester City when Dan Burn, who's now at Brighton, was playing at the heart of the Wigan defence. It was when Wigan knocked City out the cup. De Bruyne came on and he said he'd never seen crossing like it. The balls he delivered that day were disgusting. and I just think that's exactly what they are.
Well, as a defender, as a defender,
you can't defend it.
No, you can't. Well, you can, but it's very difficult. He's so accurate.
At the other end, Richarlison coming forward here for Everton, trying to play their way back in this game. Digne. Behind him is Fabian Delph. Turns away from De Bruyne and infield. Now he looks out on the right-hand side and finds Michael Keane. Keane's forward ball looking to release Seamus Coleman. It's the right idea. I think Seamus Coleman is somewhat annoyed with Michael Keane there for just how much he overhit the pass.
Yeah, it was the right pass, but the wrong player on it. I think from Everton's point of view, Michael Keane there didn't have the finesse to find the right way to pass in between Zinchenko and Fernandinho.
31 minutes gone. City lead through Gabriel Jesus is opener. And Fernandinho is on the ball, approaching the halfway line, the makeshift central defender. Forward pass is intercepted by Everton. Down the left-hand side they come. Iwobi releases Calvert-Lewin, who's round the back of Kyle Walker. Early cross comes in. It's not a really accurate cross or very good cross at all by Calvert-Lewin. Otamendi can head it away. Back in his own half is Gabriel Jesus. Runs his way into a bit of trouble there with Schneiderlin and Iwobi chasing him down, but then Fabian Delph has passed it straight back to Gabriel Jesus. And City retake possession. They work it left to Zinchenko. The Ukrainian approaches the halfway line and finds Gundogan just ahead of him. Still waiting, by the way, for anyone to tweet in a picture of them in this Man City kit. At TalkSport Live is the place to do so. Someone surely has bought the Tequila Sunrise kit. Yellow and salmon pink fading into each other as Kevin De Bruyne puts another cross in from the right hand side. Pickford flapped at it, recovered on the left by Raheem Sterling into Riyad Mahrez. Early shot, it was on target, and he's frustrated there, Riyad Mahrez, because he knows he could have done better.
It is, I mean, it was intelligent, wasn't it, from Raheem Sterling at the far post. After Pickford flapped at the cross, he cuts it back to the edge of the box. It's left by Gundogan for Mahrez on his left foot. You think he's going to bend it towards that far corner, and he just doesn't catch it right.
It's unlucky from the Algerian Riyad Mahrez, of course a Premier League winner multiple times now with Leicester City and Manchester City. Out on the right hand side come Everton and their captain Seamus Coleman up over the halfway, square to Sigurdsson. Behind him is Morgan Schneiderlin. Into Delph, back to Sigurdsson. Bit of space for Gylfi Sigurdsson to pick out a cross, which he tries to do. Cleared away as far as Iwobi. Iwobi in the area. Seamus Coleman chips the goalkeeper, and Calvert-Lewin has scored. Brilliant play from Everton. Seamus Coleman so aware in the penalty area, and he's chipped it over the goalkeeper, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin stooped to conquer and scores against Everton level.
This all comes from a cross into the box, which isn't dealt with by Fernandinho at all. It's Schneiderlin's ball. It might actually be Sigurdsson, but Fernandinho just mishits the clearance straight to Iwobi. It rebounds off Iwobi. Fortunately, really, to Coleman, who dinks it over the outcoming Ederson towards the far post. It looks as though it might go in anyway, but Calvert-Lewin there, full length diving header, makes sure it goes over the line.
Well, that's why you bring a striker in form into the side. 2 goals against Sheffield Wednesday in midweek for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Another one here as he comes into Everton's Premier League side, replacing Moise Keane today. And now City are rattled, so rattled that it's been all of a sudden passed back towards Fernandinho, some 40 yards behind him, and Kyle Walker has had to, well, he's played a ball so poor that Fernandinho's had to run back towards the corner flag to get it, and now you can feel Goodison Park, everyone's on their feet. Fabian Delph passes the ball into nowhere.
Absolutely.
And that comes to nothing. I can just say briefly, sorry Chris, that we're being told here that it may well have gone as a Seamus Coleman goal.
I think it's probably just over the line.
Turned it in when it had already gone
over the line.
We will see.
Yeah, I mean, Calvert-Lewin, as all good strikers do, made sure it went over the line, but might well have been over before he touched it.
That'll be, I'm sure.
All good strikers should be looking to claim that one, certainly, but with the goal line technology now, I think we're certainly going to get a definitive answer.
We've got a game on here, 35 minutes gone. Everton 1, Manchester City 1. It's the champions coming forward. Gundogan on the halfway out, left to Raheem Sterling, who's been quiet today on the wing, running at Seamus Coleman now. Behind him is Gundogan, leaves it for Zinchenko. Zinchenko's ball towards Jesus, unmarked in the area, looping header wide from the Manchester City number 9.
Yeah, it wasn't a confident header, was it, at all?
Just getting a replay on our monitors here of the goal as Calvert-Lewin chips the goalkeeper.
Well, I think it's Calvert-Lewin's goal. It's not all over the line, certainly.
It's Coleman who chips the goalkeeper. It's Calvert-Lewin that dives in, and I think that is the striker's goal.
I think we're going to give it to Calvert-Lewin.
Take that, Premier League. We're right, you're wrong. It's 1-1. Stick that in your VAR and smoke it. 1-1 at Goodison Park, and it is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Our eyes told us so. Here's Kyle Walker, 10 yards over the halfway line for Manchester City. Back to Fernandinho. Riyad Mahrez out on the right-hand side up against Iwobi. Infield to Kyle Walker. Rodrigo back to Mahrez. Mahrez with a big diagonal chip towards the chest of Raheem Sterling. They look rattled here, Manchester City, just trying to recompose themselves. Everton certainly have their tails up, but they don't have the football. Zinchenko being chased down by Richarlison. Really was a fantastic bit of play from Seamus Coleman down the right-hand side, but you just wonder whether an experienced central defender in that situation with Fernandinho under pressure might have cleared it all out, might have...
The first ball that comes in, he should be clearing it. He doesn't make good contact at all. It falls to Iwobi in the box, and then he's a little bit weak on the challenge even. He really should be clearing that ball.
Fernandinho forward. Jesus back to Fernandinho on the halfway line. In the Mascherano role. He used to play for Barcelona under Pep Guardiola.
He was pretty good at centre-half though, wasn't he, Mascherano?
I mean, he and, was it Javi Martinez at Bayern Munich as well? They didn't really have to defend in the way that maybe Everton have made City at times in this game. The mid-table's certainly stronger in the Premier League than it was in those days in the Bundesliga and in La Liga, as Coleman goes down under pressure here, wants a free kick, not given. De Bruyne shoots, blocked by Schneiderlin, who went to ground. It breaks to Gundogan, round the corner to Sterling, cuts it back, away by Schneiderlin again, who's having a good game in the central midfield for Everton. Lovely turn away from Zinchenko by Richarlison, tried to foul in the Ukrainian but couldn't, and now Calvert-Lewin has turned Otamendi far too easily, and there is a foul eventually. This time it's Rodrigo on Calvert-Lewin.
He's going to get a yellow card for that, Rodrigo, and I actually think he wins the ball. I think he just gets away from Calvert-Lewin and Rodrigo nicks in and wins the ball. But brilliant play down the right-hand side from Richarlison, carrying the ball forward out of his own defensive third. Gets it into Calvert-Lewin, he cuts inside. Rodrigo wins the ball for me.
But I think there was certainly a foul by Zinchenko.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think maybe he was looking to give a foul as soon as Everton lost that ball.
You could give a foul, but it shouldn't be a yellow card.
Yeah. Seems strange. It seemed like a good challenge. The one that wasn't a foul was given as a foul, but I'm sure Rodrigo will earn that yellow card somewhere across the piece.
Well, if he earns another one, he's in trouble now, and then questions are asked.
Of course, we saw Serge Aurier sent off for 2 bookings after half an hour for Tottenham today, as ball is chipped from the free kick in the centre of the field towards Richarlison. Looping header into the arms of the Man City goalkeeper, who's fired it upfield, looking for Jesus, who potentially could have been through on goal. I think he probably was offside. Goes all the way through to Pickford in goal anyway. Very decent half of football so far at Goodison Park. 39 minutes gone now. It's Everton 1, Manchester City 1 on Premier League Live. I can say we have had a tweet from Cute Sports Guy. No picture though, so we can't verify that name. And he says the Man City kit looks more like rainbow sherbet than tequila sunrise. Each to their own, mate. Keep coming in at TalkSport Live as Everton come forward here with Iwobi back to goal on the edge of the Manchester City penalty area. Behind him is Fabian Delph. De Bruyne up against him. Short pass out wide to Iwobi on the left. Back towards Yerry Mina on the halfway. To his right is Michael Keane. Good pressing this from Everton, forcing Manchester City back into Schneiderlin. Chip down the right channel towards Coleman, who just kept it on. It wasn't a great ball towards the Everton captain, but ball then spins off the field with protection from Raheem Sterling.
There's been all sorts of question marks about Manchester City over the summer. The fact that he didn't bring in a lot of players in the summer. Have they replaced Vincent Kompany? This is the game that Vincent Kompany would have played in. Calvert-Lewin is a big centre forward. They're going to go aerially, Everton at times. Kompany would have just given you that reassurance, and every time it went forward, he'd be dominating aerially. He'd be controlling the game. When they conceded that goal, they looked a little bit shell-shocked. That's when you need someone like a Kompany in your side, just to say, calm down, lads, we're in control of this game. We conceded a goal, but let's just keep playing and we'll open them up again.
Since that goal, Everton have looked the better side, and they come forward here. Gylfi Sigurdsson! Chip towards Sigurdsson. He'd beaten the offside trap. Just couldn't control the loop pass. Could maybe have tried to lob it over the goalkeeper first time. Ederson breathed a sigh of relief and gathers the ball.
Yeah, I think that's what he did try, actually. Sigurdsson tried to lift it over Ederson in one movement. The ball was just a little bit too far ahead of him to be able to control it, but it was a lovely run from deep. Split the 2 central defenders of Manchester City, who were static. Another good opportunity for Everton.
Certainly the Toffees have looked better since the goal that we are giving to Dominic Calvert-Lewin on 33 minutes. City have struggled to settle since then, but they're coming forward now with Otamendi, outright to Mahrez, back to Kyle Walker on the halfway line. On the right-hand side is Riyad Mahrez. Behind him is Kyle Walker. Back to Otamendi, just playing it left to right, right to left across the halfway line, Manchester City. Is there a pass forward to be had? Gundogan, Rodrigo looks to release Mahrez, but it's straight to Luca Digne, who can bring Everton forward early towards Calvert-Lewin. Otamendi is underneath it, heads it simply and calmly to Kyle Walker, and the attack comes to nothing, but they're certainly looking to hit Manchester City the moment they lose the ball, aren't they?
They're looking to play forward quickly, and generally it's been an aerial pass looking for Calvert-Lewin or Sigurdsson to make that late run from deep. What I've been more impressed about is their energy levels when they've gone to press. They've pressed with a good structure and a good shape, but everyone seems to be working really hard. You certainly didn't see that in the Sheffield United game a couple of weeks ago. They're working hard as a team, and that goal has given them the lift that's going to give them a little bit more energy to do that.
Can they avoid conceding a soft goal before half-time? 43 minutes gone. Here's Zinchenko down the left-hand side for Manchester City. Behind him is Gundogan. Feeds it to Sterling, who lets the ball roll across his body and rolls the defender too, and he's still got it here. Is Raheem Sterling. Got away from Keane, but not away from Richarlison, who got back to help out his defence there.
Yeah, and you don't often see that from Richarlison, that sort of backtracking, that sort of work ethic.
What you see maybe when you are committed to a performance, committed to a plan, as Everton are now, rewarded with that goal to level things up 10 minutes ago. Gundogan into the centre of the field where Kyle Walker has come very narrow. Outside of him is Mahrez, into De Bruyne, back to Riyad Mahrez. Good play, Manchester City. Jesus on the left hand side, here he is now. Well, he's got underneath it, Gabriel Jesus, and the left-footed shot harmlessly flies over the top.
It's a real opportunity, wasn't it? Good play from Riyad Mahrez. There's been a little bit of handbags in the penalty area between Yerry Mina and Raheem Sterling.
Yerry Mina's a good foot taller than Raheem Sterling, but Raheem Sterling not the kind of man to back down from any sort of confrontation. No idea what it's about. We're getting a replay now. Maybe they'd run into each other. I'm not quite sure.
It's a good play, wasn't it, from Mahrez? Cuts across the box, plays it wide to Gabriel Jesus' first touch. Just gets caught under his feet a little bit, makes the angle a little bit wider than he wanted to on his left foot, and he strikes it high over the bar of Jordan Pickford from about 15 yards out.
Well, it's interesting there that when Jesus struck that ball, Yerry Mina almost put his arm across the top of the head of Raheem Sterling, and if that cross had gone towards Sterling, that may well have been a foul by Yerry Mina. That may well have been a penalty. Sterling wasn't happy, gave him a little push, and that was the reason for the slight altercation between the two of them. But it's not intelligent defending from Yerry Mina.
Is that Yerry Mina just putting his arm out at arm level for him? And unfortunately for Raheem Sterling, it seems that's where his height is. I mean, it's clumsy, don't get me wrong, from Mina. He can't do that, but I don't think he was looking to hit Raheem Sterling.
Well played, Calvert-Lewin. High clearance, controlled in the chest, and he finds a simple pass out to the far side. That's what you're in the team to do.
I've likened him to Olivier Giroud, haven't I? We spoke before the game in terms of he's a good target man, he holds the ball up well, he brings others into play, and he actually makes Everton probably a better outfit when he plays, but he's not going to score you 20 goals a season.
If you can add that to your game, though, then you've got a very talented striker on your hands, and he has the look of maybe Joe Linton, maybe Sebastian Haller, those sorts of strikers.
That's a bit harsh on Calvert-Lewin, I think, calling him Joe Linton.
Well, I think Calvert-Lewin may be better.
I've seen Joe Linton at Hoffenheim. He is not a Premier League player.
Certainly hasn't taken to life in the Premier League at Newcastle that easily, but not easy to play for Newcastle United at any time, that's for sure. 6 minutes added on, by the way, at the end of this first half for that extended injury to Theo Walcott at the start. A couple of nice pie maybe. It's a bit chilly in England. It's about 12 degrees and dropping as the sun goes down. Certainly feeling more autumnal at the moment. I've got my roll neck on. There's De Bruyne here. Plays a lovely chip ball out to the far side. And Raheem Sterling. Sterling's ball in towards Jesus. Battling with Yerry Mina. Well, Jesus won the ball, but as you say, it seemed like Yerry Mina had two arms on Gabriel Jesus.
It looked to me as though Yerry Mina had his arm almost around Jesus' neck as Raheem Sterling cut inside from the left-hand side on his right foot, curls the ball towards goal. I think it would have been harsh to give a penalty, but look, you can see his arm.
He's
there.
hugging him.
He's around him. He's over the top of him. It's a dangerous challenge to make.
But it's not the kind of thing that we have seen VAR in England
it's not
overturn.
It's not clear and obvious, is it? It's a subjective decision, that one, I think.
But you're checking penalty shouts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just when they're clear and obvious. I don't know. They just don't want to overturn things. Simple as that, really. Unless it's absolutely obvious, like one of the offsides we saw today, which was overturned. But any subjective decision, they just don't want to see overturned. Do you have the cameras? We're now almost to the end of the 7th week of the season. No referee has gone to a camera pitch side to check a decision in the Premier League.
I think that's ludicrous. If you've got the cameras, use them.
Or don't make any mistakes.
Well, you're going to make mistakes, aren't you? That's just human nature.
Here come Man City down the left-hand side. Forget VAR for now. Football still exists. Gundogan in towards Rodrigo to his right. Drives forward. De Bruyne controls and turns and passes. Sterling's ball right across the face. It's a nice delivery, but there was nobody in there.
Just a bit too much pace. from Sterling's pass.
Here's Kyle Walker running at Iwobi, running at Digne, crossing too. That's a lovely cutback. Finds Rodrigo onto Gundogan. Good effort from Gundogan. He was on target, but Jordan Pickford had read it. Steps across to his left and catches.
Yeah, once again, it's that cutback to the edge of the box that causes problems. Rodri just slides it across the box for Gundogan, who's coming onto it on his right foot, middle of the goal, 20 yards out. Tries to bend it into the far corner, but as you said, Jordan Pickford was already there, really.
Up towards Calvert-Lewin. Fernandinho strong in the challenge, but he won it well. The Manchester City man is Otamendi. Outright to Kevin De Bruyne, just on the halfway. Inside is Kyle Walker. To his left is Rodrigo. Sigurdsson and Calvert-Lewin trying to stop him, but they can't, and Seamus Coleman is absent without leave at right back. Ball finds Raheem Sterling. Richarlison's defending forces City back. They have worked it out to the other side. De Bruyne into Mahrez. De Bruyne again. Away from Yerry Mina. Back to Riyad Mahrez. Mahrez up against the fullback Digne. Deep cross towards Raheem Sterling. Gotta be a push from Raheem Sterling. It was. He pushes Coleman in the back. Looks annoyed at Michael Oliver, but did seem to be a push in there before he won that header.
Yeah, Mahrez comes back on his left foot, bends the ball to the far post. Sterling is in behind. Seamus Coleman just pushes him in the back.
Might have been offside as well, Sterling, as that ball was delivered as well towards the back stick. As Manchester City, a real rarity, they seemed a bit lost for ideas in the final third there.
I think Everton have got numbers behind the ball. I think everyone knows what type of deliveries are going to come in the box. It's Calvert-Lewin winning another header at the other end of the pitch.
Yeah, offside flag has gone up, I think against Iwobi, who the header was targeted towards, but I don't know whether he's just filling out a bit more at 22 years of age, whether he's been in the gym, but he does look more of a centre forward than maybe he did 12 months ago.
He looks a handful, doesn't he? He's certainly more of a handful. He's in the game more than he was a year ago. Seems to be growing into it. Bit of confidence as well. Those goals in the week look giving him confidence.
6 minutes added on at the end of this first half. Those 6 minutes are now up, but we play on until the whistle of Michael Oliver, which comes right now. And what a decent half of football this has been. Manchester City dominating the opening 20-25 minutes and taking the lead deservedly through Gabriel Jesus, keeping up his great scoring run against Everton. The Toffees responding with Dominic Calvert-Lewin's header on the goal line from Coleman's cross.